This video is what the Italians would call amaro, which is bitter. It's like coffee without sugar, because the real sweetness is contained in the message behind it. I want you to come to Italy and I want you to have an incredible time and not have your opinion of this country tainted because, to put it rather bluntly, you didn't take responsibility. I did tell you it would sting. For 6 years, I was a police officer in the Metropolitan Police in London, and I dealt with a wide variety of crime, ranging from street crime such as thefts and robberies, all the way up to more serious assaults. And one thing that I quickly learned was the vital importance of having street awareness and being street savvy. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, it's always important that you know how to look after yourself and how to carry yourself. And this is very applicable when you are a tourist in unfamiliar surroundings, and I think these steps that I'm going to share with you now are going to help you a lot in terms of looking after yourself and reducing the possibility of you becoming a victim of crime. Nothing, unfortunately, is guaranteed in life. However, I do believe that if you follow these steps, you are going to help yourself to have a much better experience as a tourist. Leave your car empty. It sounds incredibly obvious, but it is surprising how many people don't do this. In fact, just before I filmed this video, I was reading about a man who had his phone stolen from inside of his car. And I think he was a local as well. He wasn't even a tourist. And then just a couple of weeks ago, I read about a group of tourists who came here to Palermo, left all their luggage in the car, only to later on discover that the car and their luggage had been stolen. So please don't make this mistake. Even from the seemingly insignificant items such as mobile phone cables and loose change, all the way up to the more valuable items such as suitcases and bags and personal belongings in this way, none of it should be in the car. You don't want to give any kind of an indication to any potential thief of there being something in that car that's worth their time. If you leave a mobile phone cable, instantly, you are providing temptation that maybe there is a phone or other type of gadget inside the car. If you leave loose change, it's like the crumbs to indicate that maybe there could be more of that where that came from elsewhere in the car. If you leave your bags, unfortunately, you are providing the temptation to discover what is inside those bags. Please just don't do it. If you need to leave your bags in a secure place because, for example, you are early to check in at your hotel or you are early to check out, then if you can't make arrangements with the hotel itself, then why not have a look for secure locker facilities? In most towns and cities, you will find these in Italy. Even in Salerno, where I was staying before, there was one of these, and Salerno isn't even a very big city. They are places where you can securely and safely leave your belongings, and they are far better than leaving them in your car. So please don't make this mistake. Please make sure that your personal belongings are with you at all times and definitely not left in your car. Talking about cars, if you plan to drive here in Italy, be careful with the type of car that you choose to hire. I would avoid Fiat 500s and Fiat Pandas because fairly recently they have become the car of choice for car thieves here in Italy. In Palermo especially, but also back in Salerno, I knew people who had their Fiat 500 stolen or parts of their Fiat 500 stolen repeatedly over a period of time. So I would suggest to avoid the unnecessary hassle of having to deal with something like that happening on holiday, don't choose those models of car. Choose something different. For some reason, those particular models are targeted frequently, and I think maybe because there is money in terms of selling the parts on the so-called black market. But yes, just don't put yourself in that position. Choose a different model of car for your holiday. Do your planning. This sounds very obvious, but it's surprising how many people don't do it. When I was a police officer in London, it would amaze me how many tourists would come up to me at the end of a very big event. An example of this would be the fireworks at New Year's. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, tourists would come up to me. There are masses of people and they want to know how to get back to their hotel. I mean, these are the basics that you need to arrange and organise before you even depart for any events or depart on an excursion or a trip to a different part of the city. Make sure you do your research, understand the routes, understand the methods of transport, understand how those different methods of transport work. The trains here in Italy, for example, Trenitalia, you can book tickets for those trains online and you can use a credit debit card or PayPal to pay for those tickets. So you can utilise that to make that experience easier. Buses, you can often review the timetables for buses online, ask people at your hotel or accommodation. Just do your research. Make sure that you plan an itinerary and how to get from A to B before you actually leave. Please don't rely on asking people when you are out unless you absolutely have to do so. Please don't rely on asking the police, because especially here in Italy, you are most likely going to be met with a language barrier. But also, I think as well, you have to be careful, because if you ask the wrong person, you put yourself in a bit of a vulnerable situation. So you are far better off doing your homework beforehand and making sure that you understand exactly where to go and what to do. And it's really funny because I was actually watching a video on YouTube, which inspired this one, of a couple who recently went to Naples and they were scammed when they took a taxi from the train station because they didn't know how to use the metro. Now, I would suggest that taking a taxi here in Italy, it's a bit hit and miss. You are better off to try to take taxis that are registered to the local comune. It's not to say it's perfect. You have a lot of scam artists here when it comes to taxi drivers, but there are a lot of shady drivers who drive unlicensed taxis here. So be careful. And I would suggest as well, taking it back to Naples, because that's where I used to frequent a lot when I lived in Salerno. If you are a tourist and you are taking what is known as the alley bus, which is the bus that you can take outside Naples train station that takes you to the airport itself in Naples, please wait for that alley bus. Don't listen to the hundreds of taxi drivers that will approach you in the queue for the bus stop, enticing you to take a taxi with them. Just don't do it. You are far better off to get the alley bus. And take it from me, I have done that journey multiple times and seen multiple tourists fall foul of that scam. So just don't do it. Take the alley bus and you'll be far better off. Do your research. This is what comes of doing your research. You understand these little things to help to prevent the unfortunate situation of being potentially scammed. Understand your location. Yes, that's right. Do your homework. It's kind of tied into planning routes and where to go, but understand what's around you. Understand the places to go, the places to avoid, what to do, what not to do. If you don't know where to begin, guidebooks are a fantastic start. I love Lonely Planet purely because their guidebooks are real and authentic and they share kind of the experiences that locals might have, which is what I really like. So that's a good range of guidebooks that you might use, but also utilize YouTube. You're on YouTube now watching this video. Find YouTubers who live in the part of Italy that you plan to visit. See if they've already recorded videos about what to do in that area. If they haven't, ask them, reach out to them. Find on social media how you can contact them. Utilize the internet to help you to understand your area a bit better and to be a bit more switched on and savvy when you arrive, rather than discovering it for yourself once you're here. There are so many ways that you can research areas now on the internet and so many avenues available to us. Use them, because I promise you it will really help you to have a much better experience when you arrive. Okay, the next one I would say is not to take your actual debit or credit card around with you. Try to invest in a currency card. I used to use ICE currency card before I actually moved here to Italy, and I would put a set amount of money on that card and use that as my means of payment when I was here. You can withdraw money from an ATM with these currency cards, and of course you can pay for things in shops using them as well. So I recommend this because if you were unfortunate enough to lose the card or to have somebody do something to that card, it's not affecting your bank balance. It's not directly linked to your bank. It is just directly linked to whatever money you may have put on that card. And with a lot of these currency cards, you can transfer money easily from your bank account onto it, and you can freeze the card if you lose it. There's just a lot more control you have over that than if someone were to get hold of your actual bank card details and do something fraudulent with that. So just be careful. Like, I really recommend taking a small amount of cash around with you, because in some places you can only pay by cash, and also a currency card. And I would leave your actual real bank cards securely in your hotel or even at home. Be discreet. Please avoid openly displaying the fact that you are a tourist. And the key telltale signs of a tourist are generally big maps open, Google Maps on the phone, guidebooks in the hand, cameras like this. Look, I'm not saying you can't enjoy your holiday, of course you can, but just take necessary steps to not make it glaringly obvious that you are a tourist, because unfortunately, a lot of criminals view tourists as easy pickings. They think that tourists have a lot of money. They know that tourists are unfamiliar in a place in terms of knowing what's around them and what to do. And also, they believe that tourists are easy to deceive. So really and truly, pay attention to your surroundings always, but try not to make it so obvious that you are a tourist. You can have an incredible time, but give the illusion that you haven't just stepped off the plane. And I promise you, it will be a much better experience as well, because I hate to say it, but there are some parts of Italy where if you are a tourist, you will pay more for things. Unfortunately, it's just how it is. So if you can give off the impression that maybe you are not from another country, I think you might have a much better experience. Don't leave your belongings unattended. Even in 2022, this is something that is repeatedly shared with people all the time. And I repeatedly see tourists coming here making this mistake. I see €1,000 plus iPhones left unattended on a table in a busy part of the city. I see people leaving their cameras unattended, expensive handbags. Just don't do it. I promise you, cities in Italy can be crazy and chaotic. And if you do not pay attention, one minute your belongings are there, the next they are gone. Distraction theft is a real thing. A really popular technique by some thieves is to come up to you to either do a trick or try and distract your attention in this way. Or sometimes people will pretend they too are lost. With a map, over the table, under the map goes the phone, and off they go. It literally happens so quickly in the blink of an eye, you don't even realise. So really, just don't take that risk. Keep your belongings on you and with you at all times. I'm not saying that Italy is a dangerous country, far from it, but of course crime exists here. It's like any other country in the world. And I just think when you come here, don't be relaxed with your belongings. Make sure they are with you, in your hand, in your bag, next to you, at all times. Don't make it easy for people to take your stuff, because then, of course, it's what's going to happen. So if you enjoyed this video, I think you're going to enjoy this one right here as well. I talk a little bit more about some of these points and go into a bit more detail as well as to why I think there's such huge mistakes. So I recommend you watch this, and I will see you in the next video.